Matt Schulze.
Really?
All rise. Assistant District Court, State of Michigan, County of Muskegon is now in session. Therefore, J. Stroud is presiding. Please make sure all cell phones are shut off. Proceed.
All right, we're on the record in the people of the state of Michigan versus Jeffrey Thomas Willis. The file number is 16180-186 FY. Good morning, everybody. And I just want to start off by indicating that there is a standing court rule and a standing rule in this courtroom that all cell phone use is prohibited. Now, if you see certain media professionals using their cell phones, they filed the appropriate notices and motions with the court to have the matter recorded, and so I've approved that. Everybody else has to have their cell phone off, and it came to my attention that there were some cell phones on in the courtroom on Tuesday. So I just want you to know that if I see anybody using their cell phone or any deputy does, we're going to take it for the day at least, and that's got to be strictly enforced. So, just to give everybody a heads up on that. All right, now I believe we had concluded the day with the prosecutor, Mr. Hilson, presenting evidence. And for the record, the appearances are Mr. D.J. Hilson on behalf of the people of the state of Michigan, Mr. Brian Hostek on behalf of Mr. Willis. proceed, gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Hilson, you may call your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The people of the state of Michigan call Detective Matt Schulze to the stand.
Mayor, not for any further court, the time is to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Have seats to your name for the record, and state your profession, please.
Detective Matt Schulze, Muskegon County Sheriff's Department.
Morning.
Morning.
Detective Schulze, and I probably should have said this to you before you got on the stand, but just so you're aware, as we discuss your role in the abduction of MJN, we're referring to her as MJN. So just kind of put that in the back of your mind. Okay?
Yes.
All right. You indicate you work for the Sheriff's Department, is that correct?
Yes.
And how many years have you been a police officer?
14.
And currently, what is your assignment with the Muskegon County Sheriff's Department?
I'm assigned to the Detective Bureau.
Now, are you aware of the attempted abduction or abduction that occurred on April 16th, 2016?
Yes,
And in fact, were you assigned to head that investigation?
I was.
Now, on that day, did you get an opportunity to meet with the victim, MJN?
I did.
And could you describe for the court, when you met with her, what her demeanor was like?
She was shaken, crying, visibly upset.
Now, did you have an opportunity to observe her injuries as well?
I did.
We've had some testimony from Deputy Blackmere, who took some photographs. Ms. McGorn, can we have
And while she's doing that, defense exhibits are right here.
okay. Is your screen up, Detective?
It is.
Okay. I'm going to show you what is People's Exhibit 26. Do you recall seeing that injury on MJN?
Yes.
Further, People's Exhibit 27. Remember
Yes.
seeing that injury?
Yes.
People's Exhibit 28. Do you remember that injury?
Yes.
And finally, People's Exhibit 29. Do you recall that injury?
Yes.
Now, was she able to provide a statement to you?
She was.
I'm not going to ask you what she said. She's already testified. Based on that statement, Detective, did you yourself go to the scene and do a walkthrough?
I did.
And could you describe for the court what you saw?
Well, we went out to the scene and there were some marks on the road. It appeared where she had jumped from the vehicle and landed, as she said.
Did, in your walkthrough of the scene, did you discover any additional articles that may have belonged to MJN? That's kind of a bad question. So, I mean, anything about her that she would have had on or been had on her fingers?
I did not.
All right. Do you recall finding a purple fingernail?
I did not.
Okay. That was somebody else.
Correct.
Then, when you walked through, do you recall recovering a second .22 caliber bullet?
Yes.
And could you describe for the court where that was found?
It was located on the roadway.
And for reference, just so we're clear, what road was that?
That was North Green Creek Road.
And do you recall the proximity of that particular .22 caliber bullet in relation to where the scuff marks on the side of the roadway were?
It was right in the same general area as the scuff marks.
Okay. Now, on the discovery of that, were you aware that Deputy Blackmere had found a similar .22 caliber bullet?
I was.
And just so that we have a frame of reference here, did you look on the same day, or excuse me, back question. Did you find that .22 caliber bullet the same day that Deputy Blackmere found the .22 caliber bullet?
I did not.
When did you find yours?
I would have been, I believe, the 19th.
All right. All right, Detective Schulze, I'm handing you what's been marked as People's Exhibit 70. Could you take a look at that, please? Do you recognize that particular exhibit?
I do.
Is that the .22 caliber round that you recovered?
Yes.
Okay. Now, were you provided a description of the vehicle that MJN got into?
Yes.
And is it safe to say, Detective, that was a general description?
Yes.
Okay. Could you describe for the court kind of what you did in order to try to narrow that down?
I began checking the area for surveillance systems, cameras, and one was located.
Okay. And where did you locate that?
It was at Sedini Blueberry Farm.
All right. I'm going to show you here an overview map. Is that up on your screen there?
Yes.
And that map shows both West River Road and North Weber Road. Is that correct?
Yes.
And this Blueberry Field, is that depicted in this picture?
Yes.
Could you describe where it is, please?
It is on North Weber Road, just north of River Road.
Okay.
It's on the west side of the road.
And is it safe to say in this particular depiction, you can kind of tell the blueberry fields themselves, they're neat little rows there?
Yes.
Okay. And how many cameras did this blueberry field have?
It had 3 cameras.
Okay. Now, just in relation to this blueberry field to our crime scene, what's its relative proximity?
Here's about, a mile northwest of where the victim was picked up.
Okay. And in this overview, certainly North Green Creek intersects with West River Road, is that correct?
Yes.
That's kind of where that purple circle and that white dot is.
Yes.
All right. And then back to the west is North Weber Road where the blueberry field is that correct?
Yes.
All right. When you made contact with the folks at the blueberry field, were you able to review their surveillance cameras?
I was.
And we're going to show that here in just a second. But what did you see?
I began reviewing it at 9 a.m. at, I don't know the exact time without looking at my notes. A silver minivan is observed traveling north on North Weber Road.
Okay.
Approximately 3 minutes later, the van is then traveling back south. It turns into the south lot of the Blueberry Farm, which is a U-drive. The van then proceeds back north through the lot slowly and is picked up on both the south and north cameras covering those drives. The van then exits the north drive, continuing back south on North Weber Road.
And were there any particular features of that van that later assisted you in nailing down who that van might belong to?
There was. There was an antenna on the center of the roof. There was some luggage racks on top of the van, and then also other features including the wheels.
Okay. I'm going to show you here. Give me 1 second, Detective. First, let me do this, Judge. I'm going to show you what's marked as People's Exhibit 71, Detective. Can you tell us what that is, please?
This is the DVD that was generated from the surveillance system at the Blueberry Farm.
Okay. before I go any further, does this look familiar?
Yes.
Down in the left corner there, it says North Drive. You see that?
Yes.
Is this I guess, the view of the North Drive of the Blueberry Farm?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Hostica?
Yes.
I'm going to, with your permission, kind of move this forward to the correct time, if that's okay? Just so we're not sitting here for 17 minutes. I should also indicate, or have you indicate, Detective Schultz, up in the upper left-hand corner, there's a date and time stamp.
Yes.
Is that what you referenced just earlier in your testimony? Is that kind of the time frame you were referencing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Pause it there. Is that, when you reference in your testimony seeing a silver minivan drive through, is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
And this is, tell me again, which direction on Weber Road?
North.
Okay. For the record, that was 9:18 and 17 seconds. Is that correct, Detective?
Yes.
And I think you indicated, Detective, it was approximately 3 minutes later we see this van coming south. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. again, is that the van, the silver minivan you were talking about coming back south?
Yes.
Okay. And the next images we're going to see is this van pulling through the parking lot, I think was your testimony, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Again, is this the image you described earlier?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you had indicated there was a couple of interesting distinguishing features. Could you describe those with this image up, please?
Yes, the antenna I spoke of, you can see it on the roof there in the center, black little object. Also the luggage rack, they go from the front to the rear. There's no crossbars, which is a feature of the van. And also the wheels. And now looking at it, I recall the length was another determining factor, and then the trim of the van.
Okay. And, all right.
Then you can see there the license plate. Michigan has several types of license plates.
Now, from this location, Detective, where this van is currently sitting, can you look down Weber and see River Road?
Yes.
In fact, if I'm not mistaken, you took some photographs of that, did you not?
I did not.
Well, let me show you this. You've been out there.
Yes.
Is this a photograph? This is People's Exhibit 35. Is this a photograph looking from that kind of area at the north end of the driveway looking back towards River Road?
Yes.
All right. And do you, approximately, what's the distance there?
I would say maybe 150 yards, maybe a little more.
Okay.
Your Honor, if I may interrupt, is this an exhibit number?
35, I said.
This is 35?
Yes, okay. Okay, just popping up one at People's Exhibit 34. What are we looking at here?
This is River Road, and then you're viewing up North Weber Road. You can see partial of the barn at the Blueberry Farm and the home located at the Blueberry Farm.
Okay. That van is now going, would be south on Weber towards River, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, with those images, what did you do to help further identify who might be the owner of that particular van?
Well, this video, a copy of it was sent to Detective Sergeant James Young at MSP Lansing. We also generated our own pictures from the video. I took those pictures to Rich's Auto, which is a pre-owned van dealership. Spoke with a gentleman there by the name of Mike Kring. We were able to determine a time frame of where the van, the year of the van, and also model style based on the features.
Okay. And did you also use, I guess, resources through the Secret Service?
Yes, eventually yes.
Okay. Now, just in general, Detective, based on that work with the Secret Service and with Dodge Chrysler themselves, were you able to take a large pool of vehicles and narrow it down to a smaller pool to deal with?
We were given some lists, approximately 1,000 at first, then approximately 30, and I think it got down to about 10 eventually.
And was there one kind of distinguishing characteristic or a couple of distinguishing characteristics of the van that we just saw in this video that helped narrow that list down?
Yes, the antenna and the color. they were found through those agencies we got help from, that they were found to be in the VIN, and we were able to narrow down the manufacturing information that way.
Okay. So essentially that radio antenna that's located in the center of the hood,
Yeah.
the color
Yes.
is all located in the VIN of the vehicle.
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And with that, you're able to narrow it down to this few to scope.
Yes, that antenna is somewhat rare, we found.
Okay. And since all that work, did you make any observations of that vehicle? Well, first and foremost, let me ask you this, Detective. Did you eventually, one of those people to check on, did that turn out to be the defendant, Jeffrey Willis?
It did.
And did you get a chance to personally look at the van registered to the defendant?
I did. I found it at the address on Sheridan, and I photographed it.
Okay. And when you looked at the video from the Blueberry Farm and the vehicle registered to the defendant, did you notice any similarities?
I did. It had all the features we were looking for from the video, as well as Detective Sergeant Young was able to determine a rust area in the back of the van.
Okay.
That was also there.
All right. Based on that, Detective, did you generate a photo lineup?
I did.
And did you present that photo lineup to MJN to look at?
I did.
All right.
To correct myself, Detective Lieutenant Christensen generated the photo lineup. I showed it to her.
Okay. All right, I'm showing you what's been marked as People's Exhibit 68. You take a look at that real quick, and then page through that, and then I got just a couple of questions for you. Okay. 6-8. In that exhibit, Detective, is that the photo lineup that was generated for you and that you presented to MJN?
Yes,
And did you observe her look through those pictures?
I did.
Now, in one of those pictures, did she indicate that that was the person that had pulled a gun on her while she was inside a silver van?
Yes.
And that photograph was of who?
Jeffrey Willis.
Now, did she actually sign and date that particular photograph?
She did.
And did you observe her do those things?
Yes.
All right. Is that photo lineup there, is that what it looked like prior to and after MJN signing that in your presence?
Yes.
Your Honor, I move for the admission of Exhibit 68.
There being no objection to 68, will we receive that evidence?
I'd also move for the admission of 70 and 71. 70 judges, the other 22 caliber bullet, and 71 is the Blueberry Field video.
One at a time here. As to 70,
No objection to the addition of the exhibit number 70, Judge DeBoer, and no objection to number 71, the video of the Blueberry Field.
right, there being no objection to either proposed exhibits 70 or 71, they will both be received into evidence. It was 35, had not been mentioned.
Oh.
A photo you had referenced, I don't know if you want to.
Yep, no, thank you, Judge, I appreciate that, yeah. I'd also admit that Exhibit 34 and 35. Those are the photograph, 34 is a photograph on river pointing north towards the Blueberry Field on Weber. And 35 is from the north entrance of the Blueberry Field in the direction of River Road.
Objection.
Yeah, either 34 or 35.
Correct.
All right, there being no objection to 34 or 35, they'll both be received. May I look at 70?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep. Detective Schulze, were you aware that shortly after MJN identified the defendant, that he was in fact arrested? Or
Yes.
picked up, I should say?
Yes.
And did you participate, detective, or actually did you conduct an interview of the defendant that particular day?
I did.
And for the record, the individual that you interviewed, who identified himself as Jeffrey Willis, is that person in the courtroom?
He is.
Could you point him out and describe what he's wearing, please?
Sitting at the defense table, orange jumpsuit.
Your Honor, let the record reflect the witnesses identify the defendant.
It will reflect an identification.
Now, this interview took place at the Sheriff's Department?
It
Or
did.
Detective Bureau, I should say?
Yes,
And was it both video and audio recorded?
it was.
Now, besides yourself, who else was present?
Detective Sergeant Jackie Stasiak from Michigan State Police.
Okay. I'm assuming, though, this was your interview, is that right? In essence?
Somewhat, yes.
All right,
Sort of teamwork.
gotcha. Now, prior to you asking him any questions, did you read him his Miranda rights?
I did.
Did he understand those rights?
He did.
And did he agree to talk to you?
Yes.
In particular, did you ask him, well, first and foremost, did he indicate who the primary driver of that van was?
I believe so, yes.
Who?
Him.
And did you ask him about his whereabouts on April 16, 2016?
I did.
And do you recall what his initial response was?
He was home.
And do you recall a conversation regarding his dog?
Yes.
And how did the dog fit into his day on that particular day? Do you recall?
At one point, he said he may have went to PetSmart with his dog.
Okay. Did he either, and I'm talking about the initial conversation, the first part of the conversation, did he ever acknowledge being on the north end of the county to you in the initial part of the conversation?
No.
In fact, they didn't deny it?
Yes.
Did you ask him whether or not he did his own mechanic work on his vehicle?
I did.
And do you remember what his response was to that?
He does not.
Didn't do any of his own work?
No.
Now, prior to your conversation with the defendant, were you aware of an oil change happening that particular morning?
Yes.
And where did that oil change happen?
Vans on Apple Avenue.
Now, did you ask the defendant about whether or not he had had his oil changed on that vehicle recently?
I did.
And do you remember what he responded to that?
I believe he had said it had been a couple months.
Did he recall, or did you specifically ask him about Vans on Apple?
He advised me that that is where he gets his oil changed.
Okay.
I then did touch on whether or not he was there on the 16th.
And why were you positive that he was there on the 16th of April?
Because a Carfax on the van had been generated, and we found that he had been there on that date and had the exact time that he was there.
Do you recall your department obtaining an invoice from that Van's Car Wash on Apple?
Yes.
Showing you what's been marked as People's Exhibit 22. What is that?
That's the invoice we received from Vans on Apple Avenue.
And does that invoice indicate a time?
It does.
What time?
8:45 a.m.
And do you recall, Detective, is that the time of departure or arrival?
I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. And I should ask you this question. The date of that particular oil change?
April 16th, 2016.
Did you, at some point in time, did you confront him with some of the other surveillance evidence that you had discovered?
Yes.
In particular, what other surveillance evidence did you have?
I showed him some pictures. It was basically his van traveling north to the eventual crime scene.
Where did those pictures come from?
They were generated from different security cameras. One was Wesco on Holton Road. Another was Coneyland on Holton Road.
All right. And both of those images showed a silver van heading in a northerly direction?
Yes.
That's on Whitehall Road? Is that on Whitehall Road?
Yes, sir. Sorry.
Which one is on Whitehall?
The surveillance photos were from Whitehall Road, not Holton Road.
Okay. So the Wesco on Whitehall Road and the Coney, is it Coneyland?
I believe it's called Coneyland, yes, also Whitehall Road.
All right.
Now, there's two Wescos on Whitehall Road. This would be the one in Laketon Township by Giles.
Okay. Did the defendant ever indicate in your conversation with you that he may have been in that area, in particular in reference to his dog?
Yes, he advised he may have been to Tractor Supply
For what purpose?
to get dog biscuits or bones.
Okay. Did you ask him whether or not he had any weapons registered in his name?
Yes, he was asked that.
All right, and what did he reply?
He advised he had a .380.
Did you ask him whether or not he had any other guns?
I did. I asked him, he was asked about those. He mentioned a .380, and I asked him about aerosofts, I believe, if he had weapons like that.
Okay.
And he did. He said he did not.
So if I understand it correctly, Detective, the defendant told you he possessed no other handguns, whether it be fake or real,
Correct.
other than this .380.
Yes. He even told us where the .380 was located.
Okay. Did you specifically ask him why he was on River Road and Weber Road? Do you remember asking that question?
Yes.
And what did he say?
He did not recall being up there.
Do you remember him at one point saying that he was going home?
Yes, that was said.
All right. At any point in time, Detective, prior to the ending your conversation with the defendant, did he acknowledge that he was actually in the northern part of this county during this time frame?
I would have to review my report. He was vague. He admitted he may have went to Tractor Supply. He may have been in the area of River Road. It was never a definite.
Okay.
Yes.
This was after you had kind of shown him the still photos of the surveillance van pictures that you had?
Correct. I'd worked my way north and eventually showed him the Sedini Blueberry Farm video, and that's when he said he was going home, towards
Okay.
the end of our contact with him.
Okay. And that's pretty much all he told you, is that correct?
Yes.
So if I understand correctly, the kind of the timeline of your interview with the defendant, his first initial statement was he wasn't there,
Right.
and then that softened a little bit.
Correct.
To he may have been
Yes. Once he was seeing pictures, then he was changing.
there. Okay. And if I understand correctly, he never, did he ever acknowledge to you that that in fact was his van?
No.
Your Honor, I'm going to move to admit People's Exhibit 72, which is the receipt from the van's car wash and oil change on Apple Avenue.
I thought that was 22.
At 72, Judge.
I may have misunderstood.
Yep, no,
So the
that's
invoice from,
Van's car wash oil change on Apple Avenue.
72.
72, yes.
Mr. Huff.
For purposes of the preliminary exam, I don't object to that.
Right. There being no objection, for today's purposes, as the 72 will be received.
Judge, I have no further questions of Detective Schulze.
Mr. Hostet, Ross.
Morning, Detective Schulze.
Good morning.
Feels like we're here litigating what happened to this minor, whether it was an abduction, right?
Yes.
You understand we're here for a probable cause hearing into the disappearance of Jessica Heeringa, right?
Yes.
Despite that, I do have some questions about what happened. This is a picture that's currently on the screen of Weber Road looking north. I'm sorry, it's River Road looking north on Weber, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And I know you have that picture in front of you, but I'm going to point to a building down Weber Road. Can you tell what I'm pointing at? I think it's the only building in the picture.
Would it be the white building?
Is that the Sodini Blueberry Farm?
Yes, there's a house located on the property as well. That's the house.
Okay. So when we watched the video of the silver van going north past that farm on Weber Road,
Yes.
this night, the minor child, at the time, supposedly was walking east on River Road, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So she's going this way, and we have no idea where she was at the time that the video was taken, correct?
Correct.
But do you think from the driving north on Weber Road past that Blueberry Farm, someone will be cognizant of somebody walking on River Road behind them?
Possibly.
But the van kept going north, correct?
At that time, yes.
It didn't come back toward the south for another approximately 3 minutes?
Yes.
And at that time, it turned around in the Blueberry
Yes.
driveway? Okay. Now, if I may see exhibit number 70. And there's no problem with you.
It's in plastic.
Is this one in plastic? Detective, now that I have it out of, from under plastic, when I hand you Exhibit 70, and will you agree with me that that bullet is misshapen?
Yes.
And would you agree with me it appears weathered?
It appears damaged.
There, toward the tip on that, there's a copper portion on the tip of the bullet, correct? It's a different color than the rest of the metal.
Correct. There's a copper top to it.
And would you agree with me that it appears to be corroded at the top?
It looks to me like it's scraped at the top. Are you referring to this right here?
Yes.
That looks like it's scraped to me. It looks like the jacket's scraped.
But you will agree with me that this is no new bullet, correct?
I don't know how new or old it is.
When Mr. Hilson asked you the question about where it was found, I think you said in the general area of the scuff marks.
Yes.
How many days after this minor made the complaint were you there?
I was there the day of.
The day of?
Correct, which is the 16th.
Okay.
I was there then the 19th.
All right. And did Deputy Blackmer point out the scuff marks to you?
Yes.
Or did you find them? Okay.
Yes, we went there together.
All right. So where, can you be more specific than generally where this second .22 round was found?
It was the general area of the scuff marks. The scuff marks kind of continued down the road. The surviving victim hit the ground and kind of bounced a little bit, it looked like.
That would be on the east side of North Creek.
Correct.
Okay. Where was the bullet in relation to the scuff marks on the east side?
I would have to review a picture of it too.
Okay, but you found it, right?
Correct.
Okay. Was it in the roadway?
It was, yes.
Okay. Do you remember whether it was the northbound lane or the southbound lane?
It would be the northbound lane.
Okay. And do you remember whether it was north of the scuff marks or south of the scuff marks?
It could have been either. Like I said, I would have the scuff marks extended for a period. So by memory, I don't recall where we're at with the scuff marks.
Does that help?
It does.
Okay. Can you see where you found this?
I can see it right there on the roadway. I laid that tape measure along the scuff marks where the surviving victim had hit, it appears.
Okay.
And right there is where the round is found.
Is that the round?
I believe so, yes.
You know there was another round found earlier by Deputy Blackman.
Yes.
Are you sure that's the second one that you found, or could that be the first one that Deputy Blackman found?
That is my picture and my tape measure.
Okay. So you're sure that's the second one, that is Exhibit 70?
Correct.
Did you wander anywhere into the grass or the fields to see if there were any other?
I walked along the roadway, north and south. Other detectives did the same. I didn't go as far as them.
Okay. But did you go off the road into the grass and see if maybe there were other .22 cartridges?
In that area, I did.
Okay, how far?
Down to the water, the ditch line there.
The ditch line that we see?
Correct.
And that is on the east side of North Creek Road?
Yes, sir.
Did you look at all on the west side of North Creek Road?
I don't recall. I walked the west side back, but I don't recall how far into the ditch I looked.
Changing the subject again a little bit. You narrowed down vans in Muskegon County or in the area based on the video that we saw?
I did not.
Okay. Didn't you say that you spoke with somebody at Chrysler
I did not.
to narrow down the model?
No.
Who did that?
I believe it was either Detective Freres or Levine.
Okay. So you have no firsthand knowledge of who they spoke with in order to narrow down the search?
I know Agent Heathius was spoken to from the Secret Service.
The Secret Service?
Yes, sir.
And do you know why there was federal agents involved in this investigation?
We had FBI help from the task force that deals with abducted children.
Okay.
And I don't know the correct terminology of the title, but kind of.
But when Mr. Hilton was asking you questions, you did say that the video narrowed down the model of the van. You knew that.
The video showed features on the van.
Right.
I showed those personally to a private pre-owned van dealer in the area.
Okay.
That subject has sold thousands of used pre-owned vans, and so I determined he would be a good help. He was able to tell me the features and help narrow the type of van.
Did he narrow it down to a Grand Caravan?
He did, yes.
Okay.
Based on the length, he was able to tell me that it was a Grand Caravan.
That's just.
I believe it's that one, yes. You know what? I think it's this one. This one.
Detective, you showed the minor pictures by way of a photo lineup, correct?
Yes.
And this is a picture of Mr. Willis.
Yes.
Do you know where that picture came from?
Secretary of the State.
Secretary of State?
Yes.
So it's a driver's license picture?
Correct.
Do you have any idea when it was taken?
I would have to review the Secretary of the State. I believe it's on the driver's license of when the image is taken.
Okay. If you didn't generate the lineup, how do you know that it was from the Secretary of State?
I located that picture.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So you did generate some of the lineup, at least?
No.
With regard to
I-
Mr. Willis.
I pulled that picture,
Okay.
yes.
Mr. Constable, what exhibit did you just refer to?
That was Exhibit 68.
Thank you.
Yes. May I have one moment, Judge?
Yes.
I have no further questions.
Detective Schulze, this is, in reference to People's Exhibit 33, you may not be aware, but that computer screen has the ability to, if you touch it, it'll mark. Could you just mark on your screen where you located that 22 round?
Whoops.
Is it just above that?
Correct.
Okay. Within that general vicinity?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, are you familiar at all with manufacturers stamping their mark on caliber or their bullets that they manufacture?
Yes.
Okay. In showing you what's People's Exhibit 70, I'm just going to hand you the bullet itself. Is there a mark on, or a stamp on the shell casing?
There is.
What is it?
It's a C.
Do you know what manufacturer stamps those?
I do not. I believe it's in my report.
If I told you CCI?
Sounds familiar.
All right. Thank you, Judge. I have nothing else.
I just have one question then. Is Exhibit 68 available. Or, excuse me, I'm sorry, 69. 68 was the total, and it's 69 is what I want to ask the detective question regarding.
What exhibit is that, Judge?
It's going to be, what's been admitted as 69. And it's been described as a .22 caliber bullet recovered
Oh.
by Deputy Blackmer.
Oh, yes, Judge, sorry. Let me dig through my pile here. I'm gonna have, they resealed it, so I'll have them cut it again. Judge, while you're doing that, the one thing I failed to do is move to admit Exhibit 33 based on Detective Schultz's testimony. That's the picture that's up on the screen currently. No objection.
Right, there being no objection to 33, 33 will be received. And Detective, if I could just hand this to you, if you could examine that and tell me what caliber bullet that is and what manufacturer marking is on 69.
It's in another little. It is also a C. It appears to be a 22.
Right, thank you. Any questions based upon my question, Mr. Thompson?
I take it from your answers, you're not that familiar with the manufacturers of 22 bullets.
Correct.
You don't know how many there are, you don't know who's the industry leader, or how popular their particular bullets are.
No, sir.
And Mr. Hoskett, or Mr. Hilson, any questions based upon my question of the witness?
No, sir.
All right. May the witness stand down?
Yes, sir.
Is he excused?
Yes.
Mr. Hoskett, you can stand down, Deputy.
Thank you.
Your Honor, the people of the state of Michigan call Detective Sergeant Tom Flowers to the stand.
Raise your right hand. And Mayor, now pending for this court, you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Have a seat. State your name and profession for the record, please.
Thomas Flowers. I'm a detective sergeant with the Michigan State Police.
Good morning, Detective Flowers.
Morning.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning, Sergeant Flowers. Thank you for your patience in this. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
How many years have you been working with the state police?
21 years.
And in those 21 years, how long, well, I should ask this question. What is your current placement with MSP?
I work at the Grand Rapids Forensic Laboratory.
In particular, what's your specialty?
Latent fingerprints and crime scene.
And as part of this overall investigation, were you part of the mobile crime lab that was called out?
Yes, I was.
And in particular, were you called out to come out with your crime lab partners on May 17, 2016?
Yes.
Now, as part of your responsibility, sir, do you recall searching a van?
Yes, I do.
All right, I'm going to show you here on your screen. People's Exhibit 10, 11, and 12. Was that the van that you were asked to search?
That looks like the van.
All right. Now, first and foremost, in your search of the van, do you recall seeing and seizing 2 video cameras?
Yes, I do.
All right. I'm going to show you. Show you what's been marked as People's Exhibit 73 and 74. These 2 cameras, are those the ones that are depicted in People's Exhibit 37?
Yes.
Okay. And those were seized from inside of that van?
Yes.
Is that correct? Now, did you also locate a locked toolbox, which
Yep.
is People's Exhibit 38?
Yes, I did.
Could you describe where that was found, sir?
That was in a compartment behind the front passenger seat in a floor compartment.
And in this photo, in People's Exhibit 38, is that in the background there? Was it that compartment?
Yes.
And is it safe to say that was that kind of? I mean, did the toolbox fit down in there where that could slide over and conceal it?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in particular, all right, so I'm going to show you what is marked as People's Exhibit 75. Gloves all the time?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I'd like gloves. I'm just gonna put this right in the back, please. Okay. If you want to pull it out whenever you're ready, we'll go.
Mr. Hudson, do you mind having the witness clear that circle off of the camera?
Oh.
Or, I mean, that
Yep.
exhibit, that's.
You know what? I'll take care of that, Judge.
Appreciate it.
Oh, there's my little folder.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Sergeant Flowers, is that the toolbox you recovered, which is depicted in Exhibit 38?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Now, would you mind just flipping that open, please? There are items discovered in that toolbox as well, is that correct?
Yes.
In particular, the first thing I want to draw your attention to, is there a picture, a laminate picture on the lid, which is depicted here in Exhibit 39?
Yes.
And are you familiar at all with what it depicts?
If memory serves me right, it depicts injection sites.
Okay. And the picture is okay, but could you just describe for the court in general what it's saying?
It has a picture of female anatomy and shows on the top shoulder, it shows medium speed. On the stomach, it says fast speed. On either thigh, it shows slow speed. And then on the rear of the female, it shows on the hip area, fast speed. Once again, on the shoulder, medium speed. And on the lower buttocks or the thighs, slow speed.
Okay. Now, inside that toolbox, did you discover what's depicted in People's Exhibit 40.
Yes.
And could you describe what that is, please?
It's a small lockbox. Do you want me to go over the containment?
Please.
And it contained a couple Ziploc bags with nitrile gloves in them and 22 casings. I'm sorry, 22 cartridges, CCI long rifles.
Now, the nitrile gloves, is that similar to what you have on your hands right now?
Yes.
Okay. In exhibit, now this box also contained what's depicted in Exhibit 41.
Yes.
What are we looking at in this photograph, please?
We have 4 batteries, rope, a section of chain, another section of chain hooked up to handcuffs, a metal J-hook, and part of a leather strap that I can see in the photo.
Yeah, we'll get a better picture of that.
Okay.
And that, again, was all contained in this particular toolbox.
Yes.
In People's Exhibit 42, was that contained in the toolbox as well?
Yes.
And what is that, please?
That's a ball gag and a battery.
All right. Now, in your further, in fact, Detective, we can close this up. I'm done with this. Now, did you also, thank you, did you also search other parts of the van, the interior part?
Yes.
In particular, under the front driver's seat?
Yes.
And could you, as I mark these exhibits, could you describe to the court what you found under the driver's seat, please?
There was another small black lockbox.
All right, and that is, is that what is depicted in People's Exhibit 43?
Yes.
And did you observe the contents of that particular box?
Yes, I did.
That's number what, Mr. Hilson? I apologize.
The picture is 43, Judge. Give me 1 second here, Detective. I'm going to show you here what's marked as People's Exhibit. People's Exhibit 44. And could you describe what we're seeing in that photograph, please?
There's one black pistol, one single 22 cartridge, one magazine, 22 caliber, one black straw, 2 appears to be contact cases, 1 orange cap, 4 syringes, 1 glass bottle, 1 blister pack containing 7 blue pills, and 1 wire cable.
And when you say contacts, are those like contacts for your eyes?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. And it looks like in that photograph they're labeled R and L. Is that right?
Correct.
Do you wear contacts, sir?
No.
Okay. If you could look at then People's Exhibit, so I get this right, 76 first. What is that, sir?
It is a Walther P22 semi-automatic pistol.
And is that the pistol that you recovered that's pictured in Exhibit 44?
Yes, it is.
And then People's 77? What is that?
It is a 22 caliber magazine and 7 22 caliber cartridges.
And is that again what's depicted in People's Exhibit 44?
Yes.
Now, are the bullets themselves loose?
They're loose in this bag.
Okay.
Yes.
What number is the 22 caliber handgun, Mr. Hilson? I apologize.
76.
Thank you.
And just roughly, Detective, is there a stamp on the ends of those bullets?
Yes.
What is that stamp?
C?
Are you familiar with that stamp?
Yes.
What is that?
CCI?
CCI?
Yes.
And all the bullets in that particular bag contain the stamp C?
Yes.
People's Exhibit 45, which is a photograph, is that still the same gun?
Yes. Appears to be.
And the magazine that you discovered, now, was there a magazine in the gun itself?
There was one magazine in the gun when we discovered it.
All right, so if I understand correctly, 76 would be that extra magazine you found in that?
I don't know how they're broken up here,
Okay,
according.
fair enough. But there were two magazines,
Yes.
and were both loaded? That
Both
you-
had ammunition in them, yes.
Now, in your search of this vehicle, did you ever discover a airsoft pistol?
No.
Did you ever discover a fake gun, one that wasn't real?
No.
How about a toy gun?
No.
I'm assuming that you and your team kind of pulled this van apart, is that correct?
That's correct.
And none of those items were found?
That is correct.
All right. Your Honor, I would move for the admission of exhibits 37 through 45. Those are the photographs.
Okay, 37 through 45 are photographs, Mr. Hoskins.
For purposes of the preliminary exam, I volunteer.
Right, photographs identified as People's Exhibits 37 through 45 will all be admitted into evidence.
Judge, I would also move for the admission of People's Exhibits, we'll do this kind of in pairs, 73 and 74, which are the two video cameras testified by the detective.
Right. That's the 73 and 74.
For purposes of the preliminary exam, I volunteer.
Photographs 73 and 74, those are photographs, right, Mr. Hilton?
No, those are actual
The actual camera.
cameras.
Right, so items 73 and 74 are admitted without objection.
And I'm going to apologize, I may have mismarked something here, but I'm also going to admit 76 and 77, which is, 76 is the actual handgun itself, and 77 is the magazine that has been testified to.
Right. As I have it, 77 was a magazine that contains 7 22 caliber cartridges.
That is correct, Judge.
So it's the 76 and 77, Mr. Hoskins.
No objection.
There being no objection to 76 and 77, both of those items will be received into evidence.
Thank you, Judge. I have no further questions.
Morning, Detective.
Good morning.
This search took place on May 16 or 17?
I don't remember exactly. I'd have to look at my notes.
Okay, but it was one of those 2 days.
I believe so.
And it
Yes.
was this year.
Yes.
Did anything that you discovered give any indication as to how long any of this stuff was in this van?
No.
With regard to the picture of the woman with injection points that we saw, I think that might have been the first thing you were asked about,
Yes.
the specific item found in there. Are you aware that Mr. Willis's wife is diabetic?
I was told that.
Are you aware that she requires insulin injections?
I'm not aware of her medical history.
Did you find insulin in the van?
Yes.
You've got a loose bag of bullets in front of you as an exhibit.
Yes.
That's not how they were found, right, in the van?
One of those, I believe those are the ones that were in the magazine, correct?
Okay. The other bullets that you found in the van they were neatly rowed in that little box that we saw on one of the pictures, the CCI box?
Some of them were.
Okay. And how much do you know about bullets and their manufacturers
It's
in the
not-
United States? I don't even know if it's the United States, but,
Firearms is not my specialty.
okay. But are you aware of anything unique or unusual about CCI 22 bullets as to rarity or?
I have no knowledge of that.
Were any of those bullets damaged, or did they all appear new?
None of them appeared damaged to me.
Okay. You have the gun there?
Correct.
Okay. Is there anything to keep him from sliding it back? Would you mind, for the court, I want to hear it, what that gun sounds like to be armed? Can I hear that again? And that's done to get a bullet into the chamber to be fired?
Yes.
But that would only be the first bullet, because after that, all the other bullets are automatically fed, correct?
Correct.
Was there anything, we have a picture of the female anatomy up there, with injection points, that's what that is, correct?
It's my assumption.
Okay. Was there any video in the cameras that you have shown us?
Not that I observed.
Okay. Did you find any videos or anything depicting any of the events that we've been discussing here today, the alleged abduction of the minor, or anything regarding Jessica Heeringa in the van?
I didn't find any videos at all.
Anything regarding either one of those two individuals belonging, that you suspected belonging to them, or had anything that would indicate belonging to them?
I wouldn't know what items would belong to them and what wouldn't.
Okay, fair enough. I don't believe I have any further questions.
I found 75, Judge. I walked right over it. I moved to admit the toolbox, which is Exhibit 75.
Mr. Haskell, there's a motion to admit the proposed exhibit 75, the toolbox.
No objection.
Without objection, 75 will be admitted into evidence.
I have no further questions, Judge. Thank you.
Right. And, just so I understand, Detective Flowers, CCI is a manufacturer of ammunition?
Yes.
Any questions based on my question, Mr. Haskell? Mr. Hilson?
No, sir.
Right, and that's all I have. May the witness be excused?
He's excused, Your Honor.
Mr. Haskell?
Yes, sir.
You can stand down, Detective. Thank you.
people of the state of Michigan call Detective Chad Peterson to the stand.
Before we do that, Mr. Hilson, I'm looking for an obvious mid-morning.
Your pleasure, Judge.
Well, all right. I think there's a second to the motion for 15
Second
minutes.
is to your pleasure.
Yeah, all right. Well, then we're going to take a 15-minute recess and we'll resume at 20 till the hour.
No, I was going to ask you to go back. Seriously?